Okay, now we're going to get into some that you might have to use the Pythagorean theorem. You might not. Definitely a little more information here. Start out by tracing what you know. There's a radius. I don't have a radius drawn in. If there's not one to make our little triangle picture, draw it in. Okay, so I know this is 13.2. X is the radius. I'm trying to find the radius. Do I have another radius? Right here. So I don't need to use Pythagorean theorem. If you do, you will get the answer. 8.2 squared plus 13.2 squared. That would work. But you don't need to because you already know 8.2 plus 7.3 is the same distance here. So you can use the shortcut. So you get 15.5. Either way, you should get 15.5. Okay, go to the next one. They're asking me to find the diameter. So I'm still going to trace the radius because if I know the radius, I can find the diameter. Now I can use Pythagorean theorem, 7.3 squared plus 16.4 squared. That equals the radius squared. Or I notice that I have 7.3 plus 10.6. So the radius is 17.9, which means the diameter is twice that. So the diameter, which is x, is 17.9. All right. Two ones where it looks like we're going to at some point have to do Pythagorean theorem. So I have a radius here and I have a radius here. So this is 16.8 as well. I'm going to have to do Pythagorean theorem to find so using your calculator to do this one step, you don't have to write as much down. 16.8 squared minus 9.9 squared, and then take the square root of your answer. And there's a thing called ands that stores your last answer, or you can just enter it in. There it is in blue. I'm going to push ands. So 13.57, so x equals 13.6. So for 34, again, Pythagorean theorem, I know the radius, but I don't know anything else down here. X squared plus 4.3 squared equals 10.5 squared. Using your calculator, 10.5 squared minus 4.3 squared, and then take the square root of your answer. X equals 9.6. If you don't know how to use the ands thing, just write down your numbers. Okay, now this is one where we're finding something that's outside of our triangle. So make sure we pick a different letter, like A, to label that side. So A squared plus 14.5 squared equals 15.4 squared. Let's find A. 15.4 squared minus 14.5 squared. Take the square root of our answer. A equals 5.2. Going back to your picture, put it on there. A equals 5.2. Well, if the whole distance is 15.4 and A is 5.2, you can take 15.4 minus 5.2, and that gives us X. And X is 10.2. Last couple are application. The spray from a lawn sprinkler, we did a problem like this on the first test, is 600 square feet. Has an area. So the area is 600 pi. We want to find the radius of that. So we plug in pi r squared for the radius, or for the area, and then we're going to solve that. Well, pi goes away. If you divide both sides by pi, you get r squared equals 600. To undo the square root, or the squared, you take the square root. So I'm going to take the square root of 600, and that gives me my radius. The radius is 24.5. If Andrew's standing 27 feet away from the sprinkler, will he get wet? So if you think about the sprinkler making a circular pattern, it's going to reach 24.5. If he is at 27, he will be dry. So your answer in a sentence, Andrew will not get wet because he is standing 27 feet away and the sprinkler only reaches 24.5 feet. That's a good detailed way to use numbers in your explanations in math. Okay. The last bonus is a review of SOHCAHTOA and or sine, cosine, and tangent. Depends on how you learned it. And so we look and it says find all the missing sides and angles. So that means we got to find the other sides and the other angles. So I can find the other angle right away. That's 31 because they add up to 90. But I need to find this side right here. And this is the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse means you're going to use cosine. So the cosine of 59 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So I'm going to take 15 times the cosine of 59. And that is 7.7. The second step, you can either use Pythagorean theorem or you can use trig again. I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. So 7.7 squared plus, call this side y, y squared equals 15 squared. And we've been doing a lot of Pythagorean theorem. So this is should be a pretty easy way to finish this. So 15 squared minus 7.7 squared, and then take the square root of your answer, 12.9. So that side right there is 12.9. On the last one, we're going to find x first. I can find the other angle. 90 minus 32 is 58. But the x is the opposite side, and this is the adjacent side. So the tangent of 32 equals opposite over adjacent. Multiply both sides by 10 to get rid of the 10 here. So 10 times the tangent of 32 is 6.248. So 6.2. Again, you can use Pythagorean theorem to find the third side. So 6.2 squared plus 10 squared equals c squared. 6.2 squared plus 10 squared, and then take the square root of your answer. 11.76, 11.8. You could also use trig to find that third side and verify your answer. So that is your review. Remember to make sure you can read your formula sheet, and then it's all set to go.